skills, what is the supply chain, what are the 9 essential skills, and how are these essential skills relevant to our labor force. We're going to talk about workplace essential skills training in action, some best practices that we've noticed, and some preparation for the future of the supply chain sector. And we'll do a question and answer period at the end of the webinar. So let's begin. The employer services offered here at the School of Career and Academic Access at Conestoga College, they're available for all employer recruitment needs, from entry-level workers to seasoned professionals. The Conestoga Career Center has been successfully connecting job seekers and employers for more than 10 years. These complementary services can be customized to any employer's specific hiring needs. Some of the services that are available include an area for job postings, as well as we provide an extensive client base that we attract and recruit employees with the skills that you are looking for. We have the tools to assess potential candidates' skills and abilities with job trials. We also provide recruitment consulting with our employer liaisons. Not to mention, we have links and we are able to link employers to the other Conestoga College programs that exist, as well as trade and apprenticeships and corporate training. The workforce development section of the School of Career and Academic Access involves educational institutions, industry and government working together to empower individuals and organizations in order to realize their maximum work potential. The Stocking Up on Skills training itself is a federal government-funded project undertaken by Conestoga College in partnership with Bow Valley College in Alberta, Douglas College in British Columbia, and the Canadian Supply Chain Sector Council. The purpose of the program has been to raise the value and recognition of essential skills training in the supply chain sector. The goals of the project have been to build awareness of essential skills in the sector and to develop specialized and bilingual training that complements workplace-specific training. The project's pilot program is currently reaching completion, but the online training materials that are accessed through the website in both English and French will remain accessible to the public for the foreseeable future. The training materials found on the Stocking Up on Skills website are geared towards 4 different occupational categories in the supply chain sector: warehousing and distribution, which include job titles such as building maintenance workers, material handlers, forklift operators and pickers; procurement and asset management, which would involve customer service representatives, as well as clerks involved in procurement, inventory, and importing and exporting; transportation and logistics, which consists of dispatchers, drivers, fleet coordinators, and shippers and receivers. Finally, the 4th category is planning and management, which is comprised of practitioners or trainers, lead hands, supervisors, and managers. The training material is broken down into 7 stock rooms, which relate to the essential skills. These stock rooms include training in reading, numeracy, forms, communication, emails, memos, and letters, problem solving, and computer use. And within each stock room, there are strategies that vary in their level of difficulty, as well as accompanying activities. All of the material used throughout the website come from the Canadian supply chain companies who have donated authentic documents to include in our training. A bit about the Canadian supply chain sector. The supply chain involves anyone from the moment of procurement to the finished product and every step along the way. The supply chain sector is recognized as a cornerstone of the Canadian economy. It is an enabler for innovation, competitiveness, and commercialization of technology and processes across all industrial sectors and represents almost 30% of total Canadian GDP. The industry currently generates $50 billion in annual revenue, and there's an additional $75 billion worth of activity completed by in-house supply chain organizations. A whopping 86% of Canadian merchandise exports are destined to the United States, and approximately $475 billion worth of goods cross the border each year between the 2 countries. The supply chain sector is reflective of its environment. There's a large population, if there is a large population, this sector grows to accommodate for the needs of whatever products and goods the population demands. It is virtually impossible for this sector to disappear, so long as there are goods to be made that society needs or is asking for. So far, we've developed our understanding of the stocking up on skills training in the Canadian supply chain sector. We are still missing one piece to our puzzle. Let's take a deeper look at the essential skills that have been mentioned a few times. So we're going to take a moment to look at the essential skills that have been mentioned a couple of times. They are reading, document use, numeracy, writing, oral communication, thinking skills, which then break down into problem solving, decision making, critical thinking, job task planning and organizing, use of memory, finding information. We then continue on with working with others, digital technology, and continuous learning. These are the 9 essential skills. You're probably wondering, what are some of the job tasks in the workplace that involve essential skills? In a nutshell, they all do. I'm going to show some different job tasks. Let's think about which essential skill they demonstrate. Interact with quality assurance managers to discuss process improvements. Out of the available essential skills, which one would this be a best fit with? The answer is working with others. What about calculating production and material requirements required to machine products with tolerance? This is an example of numeracy. Reading guidelines on border crossing procedures and requirements for security clearances. You're right, that one is reading. Providing coworkers with updates about work performances during shift changeovers. That one is oral communication. Complete rejection tags to describe why defective materials do not meet quality control standards. You guessed it, that's an example of writing. And finally, assess the safety of projects and work sites, taking into consideration tools, equipment, protective services, safety rules, and acts, such as WHMIS. That is an example of thinking skills. Can you think of any job tasks that take place at your organization that involve using documents like material safety data sheets? I'm sure we can all easily think of a task that involves digital technology. And what about continuous learning? Well, you are demonstrating continuous learning right now, this very moment, by viewing and participating in this webinar. Have your employees or teams ever struggled with one of these skills? Have you ever had training or professional development that did not produce the expected results? It might not have been that there was anything wrong with the training or the PD provided. It might not have been anything wrong with the training or the PD provided. It might have been that your team's essential skills were a bit rusty. It is a great idea to conduct some brief essential skills training or refreshing to ensure that new training is well received and successful. We know that many organizations can overlook the essential skills because it's taken for granted that employees can demonstrate these skills. And that is 100% correct. The majority of Canadians do possess the essential skills in some capacity. The question is not if someone has the tools in their toolbox, but how sharp and ready to use those tools are. The essential skills are each ranked on a complexity scale of 1 to 5. 1 being the ability to demonstrate a basic skill or complete a simple task. And level 4 and 5 are being able to demonstrate complex skills or difficult tasks. A recent international study determined that approximately half of Canadians are below level 3 in literacy, which includes reading and numeracy. That is approximately 12 million Canadians. If we were to increase essential skill scores by 1% in the workforce, it would end up being 2.5% more productive. That in turn would increase Canada's GDP by 1.5%, or 18 billion Canadian dollars, and that would take place year after year. The best part is that the return for employers who invest in essential skills training and upgrading would, and currently is, 3 times higher than the return that an organization would receive if they were to invest in equipment. According to the 2013 publication from the Conference Board of Canada, the need to make skills work, the cost of Ontario's skills gaps, changes in the labor market and the nature of work are outpacing changes in education and skills training. This publication also notes that skills gaps in Ontario are being driven by fundamental, long-term trends in society and the economy. Most notably, changes to the province's industrial and technological profile that create a need for more skilled and educated workforce. Down the road, the challenge of skills shortages will be compounded by labor shortages as many Ontarians retire and population growth begins to slow. This graph shows us the education background of workers in local industries. The light blue represents the percentage of workers between the age of 22 to 44 with their Ontario Secondary School Diploma or their GED. The dark blue line represents those in the same age category without their Ontario Secondary School Diploma or GED. The gold-colored bars reflect those over the age of 45 with their high school diploma, and the black shows us the workers over the age of 45 without any high school credentials. Does this graph mean to say that these individuals are incapable workers? Absolutely not. What should be taken away is the understanding that many workers may not possess the basic skill strengths that may be expected of workers, and that there is room to sharpen and develop the skills they bring to the workforce. Local manufacturing employers are having difficulty finding workers at all skill levels. With fewer and fewer unskilled positions in manufacturing, unemployed manufacturing workers who are still seeking employment in the industry are finding it increasingly difficult to re-enter the industry. These workers have valuable experience in the field, but were not equipped with the necessary skill sets to be successful in the field today. The days when employers hiring someone to do one specific job and that job only are now practically gone. What are some ways we as employers and as Employment Ontario services we could be showing and addressing this? Processing, manufacturing, and utilities is noted as the #1 layoff occupation among employment service clients, according to the local labor market plan of 2014 to 2017. The local labor market plan also notes these occupations are the top occupations for employment outcomes for clients using employment services. This creates quite a cycle. What this possibly means is that these workers are being laid off and then taking another available short-term job in the high layoff occupation instead of upgrading their skills for more long-term sustainable employment. It is quite scary to think that out of every 3 to 6.2 potential candidates for every job vacancy, employers are still not finding the candidates with the skills required for the role. Imagine if you, as the employer, provided the skills training. Imagine if you, as the employer, provided the skills training. How productive your recruiting would become. The Canadian Supply Chain Sector Council found that candidates' attitudes and soft skills are key important factors when employers are hiring. Hire for attitude, train for skill. could be a potential game changer for employers struggling to find the candidates they are looking for. With 21% of the regions unemployed possessing no certificates, diploma, or degree, and 36% having a high school diploma but nothing higher, that accounts for 57% of the Kitchener-Waterloo region's unemployed candidate pool. Compound that with Ontario's aging population and decreasing population growth. Ontario employers can expect to see a future labor shortage if we do not begin taking it upon ourselves to provide the skills training to our new hires and existing staff. What actions can your organization be taking now to battle the low skill sets of 57% of your candidate pool and for a foreseeable labor shortage? Employers are currently having difficulty finding the candidates to hire. We've already talked about this. In Thinkopolis' recent study, the most sought after skills in Canada in 2015, out of 256 employers surveyed, 68% said that it is very or somewhat difficult to find the people that they need to hire. This is having a direct impact on the organization's ability to meet client needs. Out of the same survey, employers noted that 29% of candidates are lacking the soft skills employers are looking for. 23% are lacking the technical skills required for the job. We are looking for more than someone with the right credentials, diploma, and degrees. We want to know that a candidate will blend with the organization, will communicate with stakeholders, and will be able to handle difficult situations as they arise. These are not necessarily the skills that are developed through formal education. This is evident through managerial hiring when only 21% of educated graduates are hired into management positions, in contrast to the 43% hired into tactical roles and the 36% hired into operational roles. Soft skills are developed through a blend of education, experience, and specific training, and unless a candidate possesses enough experience or is provided the soft skills training, these skills that our employers are searching for will not be met. 75% of employers surveyed by the Conference Board of Canada found that over the past 10 years, skill requirements in the workplace have increased. 75% of employers surveyed by the Conference Board of Canada found that over the past 10 years, skill requirements in the workplace have increased to a moderate to significant extent. 70% of Canadian employers are finding skill gaps in thinking. This involves critical thinking and problem solving. 50% of employers felt that their employees have or had insufficient oral communication and literacy skills. Even numeracy, with the lowest percentage, still implies a significant skill gap at 22%. Is your organization noticing similar trends? What steps are being taken to address the growing skills gaps of current employees? Employers do not typically identify employees' lack of essential skills and as an immediate challenge to be addressed. Instead, employers tend to address business issues that result from their operating environment. These issues include low productivity, poor safety records, high injury on the job rates, and high error rates, all of which can be costly to an organization. Let's have a look at a case study on Minas Basin Pulp and Power Company Limited in Nova Scotia. This information comes from the ESDC's 2005 document, Building Essential Skills in the Workplace. Minas Basin is one of 5 Canadian companies included in the report. I'm going to click on the link below, which will provide us with a PDF of a shortened version of the case study. I will give everyone a couple of minutes to read the case study notes before we discuss as a group. I'll give you another 10 seconds to finish reading. All right. If you didn't get to read it all, that's okay. We're going to do a little bit of a debrief right now. So what did we notice out of this case study? Minas Basin saw some major change in the workplace. It required expanding their operations and large-scale hiring. They believed that improving essential skills would allow workers to easily learn new technology. They chose to hire locally. New hires had lower skill levels that did not meet the needs for the job. So they chose to upskill their existing workers and then raise educational requirements for new recruits. A learning culture was built through essential skills training. They learned quickly, they began to teach effectively, and make successful contributions to the organization. Training resulted in operating efficiencies. They then saw the lowest absenteeism rate, and they saw major reduction in lost time due to accidents. To this day, they still monitor skills gaps through performance reviews, and they set up a training and development team, including reps from all stakeholders. Improvements are also seen with internal promotions, which everyone knows are more cost-effective than hiring externally. In addition, major improvements are frequently seen in technical training if essential skills training has been completed prior to it. There is more engagement with the training, improved confidence of those being trained, faster training time, and improved training success, which equates to less loss of hours and pay for the employer paying for their staff to receive the training. Has your organization ever provided training that didn't take or stick well? Did you ever wonder why? Did your organization make sure its trainees were prepared to be trained? This may be something you want to consider in the future. This might be something to consider for the future. Let's look at some of the best practice that we've noticed through piloting the stocking up on skills training. Primarily, we need to make sure that there's confidentiality. Trust needs to be established between trainees and the training. Success arises when participants feel that they can be honest about their abilities. Flexibility. Every organization has its own needs and its own dynamic business environment. One size does not fit all. Some organizations may want a quick blitz model of training that is intensive but only runs for 2 weeks. Other companies may prefer short sessions that run over 3 to 4 months. Training programs must also allow for adaptability, whether it is frequent delays, starts and stops, interruptions, and an organization's business demands may affect participant availability day to day. A strong training model will account for these challenges and be able to adapt. It's extremely important that any training is voluntary. Appropriate motivation is what leads to success. When it is necessary for trainees to be voluntold, ensure that there is a clear promotion of the buy-in. Make the training valuable to the participants. Try to minimize assessments as well. Evaluation is an important aspect of any training program. However, you want to lower trainees' stress and worry about the results by creating a safe environment and removing all underlying hidden implications of the assessment results. Some other best practices to consider are alignment, essential skills workplace training needs, to identify and address the essential skills needed or needs as well as the learner and the organization's goals. Training objectives are based on essential skills improvement. However, content and tasks align with the trainee job tasks and overall business needs. This makes the training relevant to participants, which will maintain high engagement with the training. Organizations with English language learners need to address language barriers before training can be successfully received. Set your trainees up for success. Know your trainees and provide them with the tools they need to overcome barriers. The training and facilitator must be ready to meet a diverse range of needs and abilities. Being prepared by having the right tools available and being organized with information and supports alleviates stress and anxiety, and it prevents future difficulties and challenges with the actual essential skills training. Make sure to review and test all available technology prior to commencing the training. It is nearly impossible to maintain engagement without the necessary technology and resources. Yes, your organization has 15 laptops and Wi-Fi available for the training, but does the Wi-Fi lag and cut out when 15 laptops are using it all at once? Finally, make the training about getting stronger, not eliminating weaknesses and gaps. Training should be encouraging. And remember, be determined and stand behind your training. Be supportive and you'll be able to make it work. Some essential skills training data that we've noticed with the Stocking Up on Skills project. It has currently been accessed by 7 national organizations between Ontario, Alberta, and British Columbia. There's currently discussions with 5 more organizations looking to participate. The training has also been and will continue to be completed by job seekers looking at careers in the supply chain in order to prepare them for the skill requirements of the job. The training has also been and will continue to be completed by job seekers looking at careers in the supply chain to prepare them for the skill requirements of the job. The average number of participants who complete the training in a group is 13. This aligns with the desired cohort numbers ranging from 10 to 15. This is something you may want to keep in mind if you are about to embark on essential skills training with your organization. On average, approximately 3 people withdraw from training during the program. There's a variety of reasons for this, ranging from illness to misaligned values, and it's understandable and it does happen. So let's look at a bit of skills data. Let's review the 9 essential skills again. We have reading, writing, numeracy, thinking, document use, computer use, oral communication, working with others, and continuous learning. I'm going to pose a few questions to the group now and would love if you can think about your response. When pre-assessing a training group, what skill area do you think is typically the lowest skill? Typically, the lowest skill when training first begins is document use. However, it is also the greatest skill gain. The area of skills where workers over the age of 45 struggle the most seem to be computer use. This is a stark contrast to those under the age of 45, where digital technology is one of their stronger skills. Which skill area do you think typically requires the least amount of upskilling? Typically, numeracy levels are on par with job requirements, meaning this skill often requires the least amount of upskilling. Which two areas do you think trainees most often connect with previous schooling and education? Which two areas do you think trainees most often connect with? The previous schooling and education. When people hear the words reading and writing in a training or upskilling environment, their thinking often reverts back to the reading and writing they complete in school. So reading and writing in a training environment is often connected back to school, whether their experience was recent or not. Which areas do you think trainees typically engage with the most? Based on facilitator feedback, trainees usually engage the most with oral communication, thinking, and working with others training. We feel that this is due to the uniqueness of these skills in that they will always apply to the entire training group and can always be further developed for personal and professional benefit. And we cannot forget to praise continuous learning, which every trainee accomplishes when they participate in any training or learning opportunity. So what do you do with what you know or what you've learned today? According to the Supply Chain Sector Council's 2012 HR Study Update, the most important skills identified for the sector, both currently and in the future, are soft skills such as communication, thinking, and working with others. The Sector Council recommends that organizations emphasize the training needs of these soft skills. Employers are also admitting wanting to see improvements in workers' soft skills. However, training doesn't seem to be reflecting this, as a wide margin of training is currently being spent on employees' computer skills, which is becoming detrimental to communication and leadership skills. The Conference Board of Canada suggests that companies prepare for a province-wide labor shortage of 564,000 by 2030. The key contributors to the shortage being baby boomer retirement and an ongoing decrease in population. Some future success in the workplace and things you can be doing. Try and make a habit of using essential skills language when you are conducting your performance reviews. Let's try to utilize existing essential skills training for professional development opportunities, as well as provide essential skills training before workers participate in any major technical skills training program or before introducing new technology into the workplace. Try to promote essential skills training by having line managers and supervisors also participate. It will create a unified and supported experience for your staff. You can apply for training funding through the Canada-Ontario Job Grant, which can provide companies with 2/3 of training costs if approved. When you're hiring and recruiting, it might be productive to include essential skills job tasks in the job requirements section of the job posting. Find lists of job tasks for each essential skill, including 350 plus different occupations, in the Essential Skills Profiles section of the ESDC website, and you can see the link there in front of you. Ask questions during interviews that gauge a potential candidate's skill levels in some of the essential skills. It might be valuable to include essential skills self-assessments and training as a part of a new hire's orientation. Keep in mind that one's formal education can reflect their essential skill strengths, but it is not a concrete indicator of one's skill levels and abilities. Try to use essential skills training as an indicator or in combination with other qualifications for promotion and development into new roles. So let's review what we covered today in our webinar. We introduced ourselves as the Conestoga College of Career and Academic Access. We looked at the Stocking Up on Skills project, the Canadian supply chain sector, the 9 essential skills and their level of complexity, the region of Waterloo's labor market, including needs, education, and unemployment, We looked at the Minas Basin, Pulp and Paper Limited in Nova Scotia, and their experience with essential skills training. And we looked at best practice and training data, not to mention opportunities for future success in training, recruiting, and hiring. Here are some useful links for you that relate to everything that we discussed here today. And here are the references of all the information that we've gathered, as well as references for the different images that were used in today's workshop. Thank you very much, and I'll take some time now to answer any questions that anyone has. And Christine, if you want to...
Any questions, Danielle? Thank you very much.
Okay.
This webinar, along with some past webinars, can be found posted on our website. You can also go there to take a look at any upcoming webinars. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch with Danielle or myself here at the Chamber. And enjoy your afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.